Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes, randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's a going on?
And our brother, on a technicality, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Greetings and salutations.
We got to see what we can do about those technicalities. Yeah.
You know, for sure. I mean, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we review Chuck Norris's commentary on legal loopholes. And of course, that means today we'll be recapping and reviewing Walker, Texas Ranger Season 4, Episode 15, The Return of LaRue, where Walker must outwit his most conniving and dangerous foe yet. Serial killer? Victor LaRue.
Yeah.
But, before we put on our opera, order a pizza, bust out our lava lamps, and cut out a few pictures of our favorite Walker, Texas Ranger characters, join us as we pull up a stool at CD's Bar and Grill. Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
It's a really special offering tonight from CD.
Yeah, what does he have on tap for us?
He's got a... This is quite the can here. This is a Thai Hot. This is by the Fogtown Brewing Company in Ellsworth, Maine.
Okay.
The Bar and Grill menu states that it is brewed with Maine grains. That is M-A-I-N-E grains. Rice, lemongrass, basil, toasted coconut, lime, and Thai chilies. Those are normally the things that I pair with a beer. So to have them in the beer, maybe that's, just cutting a step out. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't eaten dinner tonight, so this could be just a one-stop shop kind of situation.
It might be.
Now, when I think main grains, I think of potatoes. So is there potatoes in this too? I didn't hear that listed.
Hey,
No potatoes. Okay.
I don't know. Also, I'll say that it has 3 chili peppers on it, like you would see on a Thai menu.
Okay.
For something that's really spicy.
If I saw that in a Thai menu, I would
avoid.
Yeah, I would not get that. No.
So is this going to give us like the shits, or what do you? I guess we'll have to find out.
Only way to find out, we just got to crack this thing and see what's in store.
All right, here we go.
I have a color-coded glass. It matches. I just realized that. Hopefully the beer isn't the same color.
I've got a pint glass that Evan gave me for Christmas here. Custom with my likeness on it.
That is quite bespoke.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, Adam, that the revised one of those just came yesterday. And they still didn't get it right. You're blonde on it.
Oh, so are you going to go for a third glass?
No, I think I'm just going to give them a bad review at this point. They also sent me 2 other revised artist proofs, which were both incorrect. I sent them back, and they still got it wrong. So
okay, yeah.
But if I keep sending them back, maybe I'll just keep getting more glasses, just 3 months apart.
You should do that, and then you'll have a whole set for me. But yeah, you tried to make it like a disc. It looks like an old video game 8-bit version of me with a dragon, and then it says music, wizardry, and maturity. And out of the 5 boxes, they're all maxed out on this glass. You intended, I think, for one of them to be lesser.
Yes, it was maturity. Well, speaking of maturity, how is this beer?
Let's see.
Better than I expected for a Thai taste beer, but I can't really describe it.
I got a bit of dial soap.
I can't untaste that now.
Sorry, I should have said it.
Oh no, you shouldn't have. I was gonna say like a Pilsner, but now it tastes like dial soap.
It tastes like dish soap. It even burns going down.
The yellow hand soap, the bar. When I was a kid, my mom, I said something bad, or so I've been told, and my mom washed my mouth out with that soap. And
nice.
Yeah, this is taking me right back. She put soap. Wow. Let me try it again. Let me see if it's still.
I think the spice.
I like the spice.
When the spice comes in, That's what makes it feel like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for people who want to keep their mouth clean, this is the beer for you.
Yeah. Yep. And, maybe keep another beer on hand to wash it down with.
Oh, no.
Well, what's been going on in the world of news?
Well, I mean, big news this last week.
Oh, yeah.
You may say that most things in Texas are larger than life, but, Walker is one of those things, and the other would be Meat Loaf.
Yeah, we lost Meat Loaf this last week, so we got to give a shout out to him. Evan, I actually got you a Meat Loaf record for Christmas, right?
Yeah, you sure did.
Have you dropped a needle on that yet?
I haven't, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you like about Meat Loaf, Evan? What makes him so great?
The theatrics of all of it. I mean, he's essentially an opera singer dropped into a progressive rock band.
Yeah.
And that appeals to me on many levels.
His songwriter, Jim Steinman, passed away last year. We talked about it here, I think, on the podcast. When that happened, I was like, man, I don't even have Bad Out of Hell. So I picked that up last year, and needless to say, I rocked that this week.
Dude, and that album, as the kids say, that album slaps.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think my favorite on there is still, you took the words right out of my mouth. Must have been while you were kissing me.
That's a great one.
And then the spoken word intro on that is so creepy and awesome.
It's reminiscent of Victor LaRue, some may say.
It actually is. The villain of this Walker episode is just as creepy as the intro to this Meat Loaf song.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
What does the guy say?
On a hot summer night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses?
Yes. Listening to it too, I guess it gets a lot of comparisons to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. And I can kind of hear that, especially on that song. It kind of sounds like a 50s, almost doo-wop song.
You know what it is? It's the glockenspiel.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, love me some Glock.
I guess Max Weinberg also played on the record, and some other people from Bruce Springsteen's band.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Meat Loaf. I really wish I was able to catch him in concert at some point, because I'm sure it would have been insane.
Yeah, I do regret that. It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
You know how last time we were talking about Dropkick Murphys? You guys hear about the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
What's going on with them now?
They broke up this week. After all these years, I didn't know they were still a band, but apparently they never quit. They've been doing shows, and then, of course, one of the reasons was the lead singer was like an anti-vaxxer. The rest of the band hated them for it, and there's all sorts of fighting. So there you go. There's another one.
Oh, man, COVID claims another band.
I know. I mean, well, that's the impression I got anyway.
Okay.
Wow. That's their only song, right?
That's the only one I know.
Yeah.
But,
they had a couple other ones that made it on the radio, but that's the only one that everyone really knows.
yeah, if we were only that lucky to have a song like that. I mean, we do have The Day Santa Met Jesus, but
It's a pretty popular one, yeah.
why write another song after you write that one, though, honestly?
Yeah,
It's a good question.
Well, if you guys remember, when we got behind-the-scenes photos from Corinne Bardunius, when we interviewed her, she had an awesome shot of the whole cast and crew in CD's Bar and Grill, and there's one mystery crew member who is rocking a Meat Loaf t-shirt who we still have not identified. And I think this is the week to do a zoom in of the shot, put it up on the social media, and find out who is repping Meat Loaf on the Walker set. Because apparently Meat Loaf is originally from Dallas, so he probably had a pretty big following there.
Yeah, I mean, he had some local fans.
I mean, inquiring minds need to know. And it's really just inquiring mind being Adam's mind.
Yeah, and honestly, you guys were like, oh, Meat Loaf and Walker, Texas Ranger, what's the connection? Here, we just drew it. Well, we had kind of a delayed release this last week, getting caught up after the holidays. So we had a backlog of Evan's gifts to drop. Bob, did you see any of the ones that Evan crafted from the Sons of Thunder Part 1 and Part 2?
Well, I mean, I saw the main one. I don't know if it was the best GIF, but it was my favorite scene.
Yeah. Walker jumping from one hot air balloon to another. Just epic, right?
I'm watching it right now. Brings a tear to my eye.
We also heard from our friends on Instagram, Legends of Awesome, and they sent us this restaurant. It's called Cluck Norris Chicken. I'm going to pull it up here.
Is this a single location or is it like a chain? And has Chuck Norris sued them yet?
It says featuring ass-kicking chicken, including fingers, handhelds, and sides.
Where are these people? Because my favorite food is fried chicken, so.
Columbus, Ohio?
Oof, all right.
Or as I like to call it, Crumbus. I don't know if that's the only location, but that's the first one Google came up with.
I mean, what do you guys think about that? Them co-opting Chuck Norris's name?
I'm saying risky, man. They're going to have a lawsuit after him.
Oh, they even have one of his pop things there with the chicken. I mean, that's like starting a podcast without getting permission from Chuck Norris.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
Also risky.
Look, there's an action figure with a wing.
Are those the ones we sell?
Yeah, with the vintage 1980s Chuck Norris action figure that we sell on our website is also being used to sell the chicken for Cluck Norris Chicken over here.
You should reach out to them, see if they need any extras.
Now I think maybe Cluck Norris was buying all our figures.
It could be. I wish I had a reason to go to Ohio, but I definitely do not. This might be the only one.
I mean, I'm closest, right?
It seems like a big enough reason to go. Oh, look, no, they're in Florida, Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Wait, do you think they're in Texas? No. Oh, they wouldn't dare.
Yeah, they
no
wouldn't dare
one would not dare. Well, it's about time for us to dig into this episode. If you're watching along at home and don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch Season 4, Episode 15, The Return of LaRue, and then return you right back to us.
Please.
Welcome back. Let's dig in. This episode originally aired on February 3rd, 1996, so Valentine's Day episode-ish?
If this is a Valentine's Day episode or was intended as one, it's the creepiest one I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's up there for sure. This one opens up on a lovely prison scene.
The real test for you, Adam, is did you recognize any of the opera that the bad guy was listening to?
No, I
didn't either.
It didn't sound like Ave Maria, but one of the melody lines kind of did, like in one section.
It was familiar enough where I felt like I should know it from all the music history classes, but no.
Yeah, we had to listen to all that classical music, and we took the test, and then I went back to listening to Meat Loaf.
Right, flushed it all out.
So, yeah.
So what we're alluding to here is that this week's villain is a return villain, and to increase his creep factor, he listens to opera. And from our perspective, to increase his creep factor even more, he listens to opera on a Discman.
Yeah.
And every time they show the Discman, do you guys notice that it's always on track 1?
Well,
so he's probably just playing a greatest hits album, and track 1 is what you'd recognize the most. So there you go.
Yeah.
I busted out my Discman here. I was like, I got to do it because I need to get into this episode. For people out there of the younger generation, this is a portable CD player. Before that was a Walkman with the cassettes, but this is what you used. You had to have your CDs, and then you needed something to listen to it with, headphones or whatever. This bad guy in this episode, his preferred, listening thing is computer speakers plugged into his Discman. Excellent
sound quality, much better than headphones.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get started here. We see him. Maybe the music's in his head because he's still in prison. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just at this point we're just hearing this opera music while he irons his shirt in prison. Is that right? Or
he's folding laundry. He's doing a great job too. Okay. He's folding his laundry. He's so this is there are many things that bother me about this episode. But one of the things is, so he's in prison, right? How does he have all these shirts? He's in a room with like posters on the wall, and he's got his Discman with his speakers playing, and he's got newspapers and all this other stuff. It's like, how does he have all this stuff?
Yeah, and we find out later he's only been there for a few months. So he really made himself at home, right? He really decorated.
Completely. And that's kind of one of his character traits. We'll get more into that in a minute.
Almost definitely.
Sure will.
So anyways, he's sort of zoning out while folding his laundry creepily. And we get this flashback, I guess, to inside a courtroom. And this judge is basically saying, because of judicial error, we're declaring a mistrial and you're released for further trial down the road. The gavel slams down, and I paused it on the gavel because it was weird.
Yeah, there was like text on the gavel. What did it say on it?
It said the judge's name, and then it said something about blah, 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 truly unruly.
It's not really what
it seemed
I
like kind of a wasted effort to put a little stamp on there, but
I'm guessing it was just what was on the prop.
Yeah.
So, we're like, well, that can't be good if this creepy guy is getting released. Now, keep in mind, this episode's called The Return of LaRue. This is our first time seeing LaRue in the podcast. So it is both the return and the introduction of LaRue.
Yeah. And if we weren't, watching these episodes randomly selected by a roulette wheel, we would have seen him before. But, we're seeing it like we would have caught it on TV if this was just on.
And that's okay, because it's quite clear that he's a super weirdo and that he's got a newspaper with Alex on it, and he's like staring and caressing it.
Very creepy.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah. And so this newspaper was saying that Alex was going to be recognized at some party or something. And so cut to that party, and Alex and Walker show up. They join the party, and Alex is all nervous because she has to give a speech. They sit down, and LaRue shows up.
I guess just released from prison, and he got access to this like attorney's party. How's he get in?
Great question.
And Alex is kind of like talking to Walker about like, hey, I'm really glad you came with me because I'm a little nervous about giving my acceptance speech for this award from the Attorney Association. Thanks for the support. And he's like, yeah, shut up and sit down. Walker's not really being really supportive. You know what I mean? Walker's kind of like, all right, let's get this over with, right?
Yeah.
And that's when LaRue walks in, and we're all like, what? How did this guy get in here?
I know. He's also wearing a jacket that has like 40 buttons.
Yeah, let's break this down and describe LaRue, the bad guy of this episode. He looks like Joey Greco from Cheaters. At least in this episode, he does. He's got the soul patch.
To me, he reminded me of someone that I couldn't figure it out. The whole episode, I was thinking about it, and maybe that's it.
He's got a Joey Greco vibe.
Yeah.
We'll do a side-by-side of Joey Greco and this guy this week on the socials for sure. Which also, Cheaters, the TV show filmed in Dallas. This actor, it's worth saying his name.
There's an accent on his name, so I'm sure I'll screw it up, but I believe his name is Wayne Perret.
Yeah. I mean, he's chewing the scenery in every scene, this guy. He
is 100% in on this role.
Yeah, I'm really glad he is. But so he kind of creepily walks up to the table where Alex and Walker just sat down at this like awards dinner. And Alex is like, LaRue, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I just was released. And I just wanted to come and make amends and make sure there was no bad blood between us. Which, as we find out later, he tried to rape her.
Yep. He's a total maniac. Yep.
It's like, what? And so she's like, Walker, this can't be real. And Walker pulls out this ancient cell phone from his pocket and calls Trevette. And Trevette's like, oh, no, it's real. And then they go back and he's like, well, good seeing you guys. I'll see you around. And he goes over and sits like at the table behind her.
Well, he also goes to pull something out of his pocket, and Walker's like, whoa. And he's like, you're scaring me, Walker. You're frightening.
Yeah, the guy's affect is really strange, right?
Yeah, but he pulls out these documents that are like his release papers, but he doesn't hand them to the assistant district attorney. He hands them to Walker, who's like,
unfortunately, Alex, he did get released.
Mm-hmm. See, I recognize this guy because he's on an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Okay. He's actually been in a ton of stuff.
He has, yep.
So he goes and sits down again.
Alex is quite shaken, and the wait staff have removed the salad course and are bringing the main course, and they open up the cloche, and underneath it is a dead rat, which causes everyone to freak out.
Yeah, right in front of Alex, and the camera pans back to LaRue, and he's sitting at his table like, though he doesn't really acknowledge it, but he kind of does. Excellent acting. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cut to the credits, and after that, I guess Walker and Alex have him in custody. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at the Ranger headquarters, and Alex and Walker are like standing outside a door that's relabeled interrogation room. And Walker's like, "Oh, are you sure you're ready to do this?" And Alex is like, No, I'm not." And then she opens the door to the interrogation room, and even before the door opens, LaRue is sitting there and starts talking. It's kind of like doors. "Hello, Walker and Alex," something like that. He was like just waiting for them, and it really reminded me of like the interrogation room from Law and Order or something.
Oh yeah, they had like the industrial fan in the wall for some reason,
spinning behind him. Yeah,
pretty fruitless interrogation. Basically, Walker threatens him a lot.
He's like, "Well, you can't do anything to me, Walker.
I'm a free man." They don't know what to do, so Trevette and Walker, they're like, well, I guess we just gotta talk to this judge, figure out what happened. I don't know why they do, because it's not really useful or relevant to the show at all.
They're trying to make it relevant. So they meet the judge who had to throw the case out to find out why charges got dropped on LaRue for apparently attempting to rape Alex. Apparently, it sounds like he blames it on his wife.
Yeah, his wife.
Oh, he completely blamed it on his wife, yep.
She had investments in some company. I don't know what that had to do with LaRue going after Alex.
I think that's in the first episode with LaRue called Cowboys a couple seasons prior.
The judge's wife was an investor in a company that maybe LaRue was tangled up with.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's probably why it got thrown out. At the same time, if you were tied in with the same company, would you put the guy away in jail? Who knows?
A good point.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, if they let him go,
right?
If they threw out the case initially, that would make more sense.
Really, the scene was to show that Walker and Trevette are on the scene. They're digging into this. They're doing all they can. The legal route.
For sure. So like, well, what's the next move? And they're like, well, I guess put 24-hour protection on Alex and let's do a stakeout on LaRue. Right. And this is when we kind of get to see where LaRue's hanging out, which is just like in this motel.
Right.
And these two guys are waiting out and doing surveillance on him, but he's in there just making himself at home.
This next scene, we really just get like an internal shot of his whole lair.
We see some of it, not all of it. So it pans from his opera playing track number 1 on his Discman. And then it pans over to a lava lamp.
You gotta set the mood.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
With Alex's face glued to it.
Yeah, it's like he cut her out of paper, and it's kind of like a action star thing. I have it here pulled up. And he taped it to the top of the lava lamp, along with articles about himself being arrested. Whatever.
Yep. Super creepy. And we see him with a box of donuts. And so he leaves his motel room, walks directly out to the 2 surveillance cops, and he's like, you guys must be really tired. Here's some donuts. I also thought I'd give you guys my complete itinerary for the day. I'm going to be doing some apartment shopping, and then I'm hoping to get in some sightseeing. And then he drives off in his muscle car.
He's like, hopefully you can keep up. We wouldn't want Walker to get angry. The two undercover cops are kind of like, okay. I was waiting to see what they were going to do with the donuts, if they're going to eat them or not. But
Yeah, I thought he had poisoned the donuts, maybe.
right.
Yeah, that's what I assumed too.
That's what I was assuming too. But yeah, they didn't go there, unfortunately.
They didn't eat the donuts, probably. So.
Yeah.
So his version of sightseeing is going into a courtroom and staring at Alex while she
is working. Yeah. So she's, I guess, arguing a trial, and he just walks in to the court because it's an open session and sits in, and she kind of senses someone kind of came in and turns around and sees him seated in her courtroom. And she asks the judge, "Hey, can I have a second?" The judge is like, "Okay, make it quick." So Alex turns around and says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And LaRue's kind of just like,
It's my right to be here. I'm a free man and a citizen, and I can go to any courtroom I want. Or something like that, yeah.
and she's like, "Well, you better get out now." And he's like, "It's my legal right." And then the judge is like, "Miss Cahill, we have to get back to the case." And then he's like, "Oh, someone's in the doghouse."
It's during this that we get like a flashback to, I guess, the previous episode where LaRue almost rapes her. It's like pretty jarring.
Kind of really grisly. Yeah, it's like, so you see why Alex is shaken up by him being there.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, while he's camping out in the courtroom, Walker and Trevette go over to the motel where he's staying, and in a breach of protocol, go totally rogue and get the key from the maid and go into his room and into his super skeezy hovel of a motel.
Yeah, Trevette's like, "Walker, are you sure you want to just break into this guy's place? It's, probably not a good idea." And Walker's kind of like, "Look, it's not a good idea, but let's do it anyway."
The best is how he got the key. He just went up to the maid who's standing outside the room and just asked for it.
Yeah.
He's wearing his badge.
Did he have the badge on his shirt?
He's got his badge, yeah.
Maybe she was just like, "Oh, they're Texas Rangers. I'll just give them the key to this random motel room."
Yeah, I guess.
Or she's cleaned all the rooms, so she knows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can you imagine her cleaning this guy's room? I didn't think about that. I know, yeah. She's like, "Please go in there. This is creepy as
We have
hell."
a psycho killer staying in our motel.
All right, so I took some, because the next scene, Walker and Trevette walk into LaRue's motel room here, and I've got some stills. I'm going to bring them up here of what we see when they walk in. What do we got here, Evan?
We got Unbelievable. We've got okay, awesome. So this is a dresser. LaRue is really into candles. That's kind of his jam. So yeah, so he just has, candlesticks everywhere, different candelabras, big candles, little candles. I think someone just went to the dollar store and bought all the candles for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Shout out to the prop master. Excellent job in this episode, by the way.
Oh my god! Yeah, you guys, whoever dressed this murder lair was unbelievable.
There are silhouette, like target practice body printouts on the wall, with Walker and Alex's faces glued on them, but they're like press shots from Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah,
right.
And then in the heart of the one with Alex is an image of her like posed very sexy right over the heart.
Right.
There's, most importantly, a Scotch tape dispenser on the dresser too.
That's probably his favorite thing
most
to use.
used thing in that hotel room, I think.
Yeah, because there's Scotch tape pictures all over the place. All right, we'll move on to the next shot here.
There's a picture of him from when he was brought in the newspaper, and then like an image of a hand reaching out from it, grabbing a photo of Alex.
It's like on a playing card or something, like superimposed on that.
Oh, on the Ace of Hearts.
And then we also get a faraway shot of the green lava lamp with the cutout picture of Alex taped to the top. So Walker and Trevette walk into this, and they're just kind of like, "What the hell is going on?" And Walker walks over to the bed, and there's like a white box on it, like you get like a dress shirt in or something. And he opens it up, and inside is a doll with like the head cut off. And Walker kind of like picks up the doll's head and is kind of like, look at this, Trevette. And Trevette's kind of like, oh yeah, he's a bad guy.
Well, Trevette's also pointing out the fact that he's got books everywhere, and every book is about a different serial killer.
yeah. He's like Manson, and then he's
Jack
even
the
like,
Ripper.
This guy's of sound mind. It's so good.
Yeah, seems pretty normal.
Yeah.
So as Walker's showing this creepy doll to Trevette, we hear a noise like a key, and LaRue walks in on him.
He must be right next door to the courthouse.
I guess.
Yet a lot of times in this episode, it's done really well. Like, it's really unnerving. You don't know when he's going to appear. It's kind of like a horror movie kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to director Michael Priest, who did this episode, because he got that whole thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so what does LaRue say finding Walker and Trevette unlawfully in his murder lair?
He says, surely you must have a state-issued warrant to be searching this property right now.
Trevette's like, oh, we left it back at the office.
Classic.
All right.
And Walker just doesn't say anything.
Right. Oh, he tries to get Walker to punch him, but he won't, and then they leave.
And he's like, what? No goodbye kiss, Ranger? And then they leave. And like,
oh my God. Yeah. So... So, since he doesn't get a goodbye kiss from Walker after they leave, he walks over to the mirror and leans in to kiss a photo of Alex and instead licks it.
oh no, that was the creepiest thing ever, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, guys, so I want to point something out. Initially, when they asked Trevette about LaRue being released, he looks up the file, and it shows that LaRue was released on the 1st of February. And later on, we see Alex's address book.
Oh.
And it shows the 5th of February. So all of this transpires in like 5 days. And so his creepy den like that, he made it like that in a couple days.
Oh, probably in the first night. Like right after he got out of
one
prison.
night easy.
Where does he get all this stuff?
That's a better question, yeah. I mean, if he had it all, maybe he had it already, before he went in.
Yeah, that's true.
He just put it all in a storage unit before he was arrested.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because some of those articles were about him, and they were probably from the last crime he did, so he probably stored those away. But, I mean, yeah, you go get some scissors, you get your Scotch tape, and he's off.
Again, I mean, he just moved right in.
A couple pizzas, you're done.
So, yeah, this guy, super crazy town, right? And that night, we see LaRue wandering around in the city, and we're like, oh, what's he doing? Is he going to sneak up on Alex? It looks like he's going onto the courtroom steps and stuff. And this giant dude comes out from the shadows.
Out of the shadows.
Yeah. He's like 2.5 feet taller than LaRue, and LaRue's like, you'll do. Make it look convincing. And the guy just beats the crap out of LaRue.
It's like this African-American boxer who... He's in all black. Does he have glasses? He's got like a Rolex, and he's got leather gloves, and he's like at least a foot taller than LaRue.
Oh, yeah.
And he's jacked.
Yeah, he's like a lineman for the Cowboys or something.
Yeah.
What's funny is that he's like, he made some comment like, give me what I paid for or something. He paid this guy to beat him up. You don't have to pay anybody to beat you up.
Yeah, especially if you're as annoying as LaRue.
Yeah, he could have just gone to a bar and just mouthed off a little bit.
Right. But then there'd be witnesses. But I was really hoping that the boxer character here had some further action in the episode because he looked badass. I was like...
Yeah, I want to see him fight Walker.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is he going to sick this guy on Walker? Because that would be amazing.
No.
Instead, that's the last we saw of him.
Just a hired hand.
So anyway, LaRue, he gets his face bashed in to make it look like Walker bashed in his face.
And then he calls in a complaint against Walker, and Walker gets in some hot water, but, Walker's never been one to have a problem swimming out of hot water.
Walker's in the interrogation room reading an article about LaRue claiming police brutality from Walker, and the person interrogating Walker is like, hey, you guys illegally broke into his place, so who should we believe?
Yeah.
And she's like, how do I know if you did it or not? And he's like, well, if I did it, he'd be dead.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's great to hear the police say that. Okay.
Yeah, and then he immediately leaves the room. Oh, man. Anyways, Alex is hanging out with CD and Trevette, and, she just feels hopeless because LaRue is everywhere, and they can't seem to do anything about him. And they're like, well, just take some days off, just hang out and, get out of that courtroom and get away from him. So she's relaxing on her couch, and, LaRue gives her a call.
He just has her number randomly.
Of course, yeah. She records this phone call, which irks him incredibly because he thinks this phone call is very personal in between the two of them. And you can tell because while he's talking to her on the phone, he's lighting more candles and shirtless.
Yeah.
He's in really this creepy apartment.
Really setting the mood.
For himself.
Yes. Yeah.
He's probably drawing a bath,
Oh, my God. He's into Alex Cahill, and honestly, who wouldn't be? But, I mean, come on.
So what sets up his line? Do you guys remember?
Yes, I was looking for this line to go back and find it.
He's basically like, there's nothing you can do, They believe me, yada, yada, yada. And then he goes, nana, nana, boo, boo.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
I was like, huh. He just said that. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So she gets this creepy call and she shows the tape to Walker and company, and they're like, well, we better get him. And she's like, well, you can't arrest somebody for making a phone call,
Yeah. Is this when she's talking to CD and
yeah. And this is CD's only real thing. It's almost as if he's a Texas Ranger again.
Hey, just hanging around the office,
Yeah.
Is this when she's like, I could try to get a restraining order, but that'll just take too long? And I was like, oh, I understand. I've heard stories about it's not easy to get a restraining order, but she's the assistant district attorney.
Right.
She's got friends in high places.
Right.
Shouldn't be that hard.
And no one denies the fact that she got kidnapped by him.
Right.
That's undeniable.
Previously.
So she gets home. Her apartment's been ransacked. All her stuff is broken.
She doesn't want to go into it because she's like, oh, he might still be here, or whoever did this. Obviously, it was LaRue who ransacked my apartment. But so she kind of backs out of the doorway, and then we hear LaRue from the hallway. Hi, Alex.
Yeah.
And he's standing in the doorway of the room down the hall, and he's like, yeah, I just got a new spot over here. I'm going to be moving in. And that's when I really was like, oh my God, I love this episode. It's amazing. It's so creepy.
Alex obviously is pretty shooken up at this point. This creepy dude who almost raped her is moving in down the hall from her. He obviously broke into her apartment, but they can't prove it. All her stuff is busted. And Walker's like, okay, that's it. You're going to my ranch.
Right. And this is what it would take, her
it's about
attempted rapist moving in down the hall. Walker's like, all right, you can move in.
You can come over.
You know, Walker had commitment issues, but this pushed it there.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's the level of security of his ranch. Yep. At least we think. He takes her off to the ranch, and the next day, LaRue's trying to call Alex's apartment, and she's just not picking up. And he's like, I guess I'll just have to find you then. You never make it easy. So he lights his motel room on fire.
Right. And more like, oh, is he just going to destroy all the evidence or what? The two cops are seated out front. The undercover cops that are supposed to be tailing LaRue, who apparently he's dodged multiple times. So Alex is like, it's kind of worthless just to have more cops on him when he's just going to dodge him. But the two ones from earlier who gave the donuts to her are like, hey, there's smoke coming out of the guy's place. We better go check this out. So they go over to the door. They open it and they go, LaRue, are you okay? And he clocks the first guy over the head with a pipe.
Yeah. Good pipe
and
work.
Then wouldn't you think the second guy behind him would be like, dude just clocked him with a pipe. But no, he walks in and he gets clocked by a pipe too. And LaRue leaves the two undercover cops to burn in his apartment.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, he closes the door behind him as he leaves.
Gets into his muscle car and just jets off.
Yep.
Why is he staying at such a garbage motel? There's such a sweet car.
I know, and he clearly forked over a ton of cash to be staying in the same apartment complex.
Yeah.
as Alex.
He did tell the cops earlier in the episode, he's like, well, just so you know my itinerary, I'm going to be apartment shopping.
Oh, he found his place.
So,
sure did.
So that was just a kind of a placeholder motel while he was trying to get into Alex's building.
Yeah, and imagine what an actual dwelling would look like. He'd really doll that place up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So his next stop is to figure out where Alex is. So he goes to her office, but she's not there. But he looks at her appointment book.
Yeah, he breaks into the assistant district attorney's office with just like kind of like the credit card trick on the door.
Well, he's got lockpicks.
Yeah, he's got lockpicks. The best is before he breaks in, there's a janitor there, and he's looking like he's only like 90 degrees off axis from this guy, right? He's like not looking completely away from him, and he still just like breaks in. That guy wouldn't say anything or notice. And unbelievable.
Yeah, so he gets in her office. He's like, well, yeah, you wouldn't just go somewhere without telling your colleagues where you are. So maybe if I look around here, and he sees Alex's day planner just seated open on her desk.
Yeah, immediately, just right there.
And that's where I guess you got the date.
Yeah.
in the
Yes,
day planner.
yep.
What did it say?
Alex at Walker's Ranch, and then his phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then LaRue's like, almost too easy. And then he goes over to Alex's Rolodex.
Solid. For those of you who don't know, a Rolodex is a circular, rotating
Cylindrical.
drum
Like a
of
cylindrical.
index cards that have addresses and phone numbers on them.
Wow. I didn't even stop to think people might not know what that is. I mean,
Anyone who's
definitely
listening to
not.
this knows what a Rolodex is.
yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, you've had a few of them. But he goes to Alex's Rolodex, goes to the W for Walker, and we actually get Walker's address and phone number.
His address on that one. His phone number's in the address book, but neither one is legit. It's a fake phone number, and the address
555.
doesn't exist.
Damn.
I looked it up.
Look, we tried, guys. I'm just putting it out there. We tried.
So super easy. He basically gets all of the information he needs, and boom, turn on the suspense. Back at the ranch, we see Walker, and he's with his horse Amigo. He's teaching his horse Amigo how to remove a bandana from his leg. Huge
wonder
trick
why.
for a horse.
Yeah.
Is that horse shadowing?
Okay.
It could be.
Yep.
Alex comes running out of the ranch, and she's all like, the officers trailing him are dead. His place caught fire. He knows exactly what's up. He knows the game is on. And he's like, we're not safe here anymore. Go pack your stuff. I'll stay out here.
Watch the horse.
Right. So she goes in to start packing up her bags, and, Walker's outside standing guard, but it's too late. Why's that, Adam?
Oh my God, this is so amazing, this scene. Walker's out front, and there's an armoire behind her that I'm thinking, like, maybe he's in the armoire because it's big, like he could pop up behind her while she's packing her bags or something like that. But just as I'm waiting for that to happen, the door kicks closed slowly, and LaRue is standing in the shadows, creepy as hell. Oh my God, that was masterful. I was like, oh no. And Walker's out front thinking that LaRue hasn't got there yet. Man, he's wrong.
Yeah, and he keeps shouting inside, like, hurry up, we gotta go. He finally ends up going inside, and we see... We can edit this out, but there's definitely a really odd shot showing the headboard doing some serious dancing.
Yeah,
before it pans down.
Yeah, I was like, what? This is CBS.
Yeah. Yep, we don't have to
Right.
talk about it, but I will be making a GIF.
Yeah.
Oh no,
They have to. They kind of have to.
No, we're like, oh wow, no, please, God, no. But thankfully, LaRue is only tying Alex down for the time being.
Well,
And-
she's already tied down. This begs the question: how long did Walker wait for her to pack?
Right, that's
Like
true.
20 minutes? Because he's
You
got
women,
Alex.
right?
Alex is like chained to the bed. And he's got candles going.
Does he already have them?
Yeah, there are
They're already
candles
fired
going
up?
on the
Okay.
headboard.
All right. Yeah.
So it's like, how long did Walker give her to pack?
Well, we could probably time how long it takes a candle to burn and find out.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, Evan, that's what you're taxed with this week. Okay. But so Walker's checking up. He's like, man, I smell candles. You know, I'm hearing the mattress move. Maybe I should go check up to make sure she's okay. So Walker goes in, sees Alex, and then gets hit on the head again by LaRue, who's a master at this.
That's just one move.
Yeah. Hit him in the back of the head. He's down. And this is Walker, who in the last episode, Walker was shot. Okay. Yeah. And he regenerated like Wolverine. In this episode, though, he gets hit in the back of the head and he's out.
Cold.
It is odd.
Cold. Yeah.
Inconsistent.
So he's lying there on the floor, and Alex, she can't talk, but she's like, oh, no, Walker's down. And he's like, oh, I can tell you really love this guy, don't you? This is kind of earlier, right? Really season 3. So the relationship of Alex and Walker, they haven't really gone to full on being steady yet. But they're going there as far as the script being like, well, she loves him.
Clearly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So LaRue's like, well, I thought you really only cared for me, but if you love this guy down here, and he kicks Walker in the gut, and they show these like close-ups of Walker's head just kind of being like he just got kicked.
But he's still out cold.
This whole scene, I was waiting for Walker just to wake up.
Same here until I looked at the time left in the episode, and I was like, nope, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
It definitely does. Yep.
He basically tells her most of the plan, right? He does some really classic bad guy things, like in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Like he has a gun.
I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to take Walker out and kill him.
Right. I'm going to take him out to the Badlands.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with him, but it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just lie my head on your stomach and talk to you while I do this, too.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy there for a minute.
So creepy.
Oh, creepy. Gosh. LaRue has so much dialogue in this episode. In this scene, he's essentially talking to himself crazily.
Yeah. And he's like, do you like opera? I like opera, but only Italian opera.
Yeah.
It's the only greatest hit CD I could find.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah.
Maybe Vivaldi? Could that be who it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, and then they keep implying that he like might rape Alex, and you're like, no, God, please, no. We're just
it's not implied. He basically says he will.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
But we didn't know if it was gonna happen right then, and then it's like we just wanted an escapist action TV show with Walker. Right. We didn't want to watch a Law and Order SVU. What happened here?
Yeah, definitely not what I had signed on when I wanted to watch Walker.
Eventually, after he talks to himself creepily for a while, he's like, oh, well, business before pleasure. I guess I'm going to have to go kill Walker first. He can be my main course. And when I get back, you can be my dessert, Alex.
Oof, no.
Yeah, gross.
No. Anyway, so he drags Walker out by his legs and throws him over the back of Amigo, the horse. And takes him out, quote, to the Badlands. But the Badlands is basically just the backyard because there's a fence.
He was lying to Alex so she'd think that he went somewhere crazy. He's not going to tell her exactly where he went. It's all, he's a master criminal.
I guess. So he pushes Walker off the horse, and Walker's still stunned on the ground as LaRue starts detailing his plan for destroying Walker. And he's got this story all about scorpions.
Yeah, he's like, when I was in the prison yard,
there was this poor mouse, and it was being attacked by a group of scorpions. And they kept stinging it even though they knew it was dead. And they were stinging it because they liked it. And then Walker, he ties Walker up. He holds up this giant peanut butter jar that's got a bunch of scorpions in it.
Yeah, and Walker, he's got 4 stakes in the ground, and Walker has rope tied to each limb, and the stakes far enough out that he's just splayed out across the ground.
I will also say that one of those knots was quite obviously a slip knot.
Okay, well,
just throwing it out there, not great knots.
Yeah,
this guy, he's crazy. He just doesn't know his knots.
Well, he has been studying up on his invertebrate zoology because he...
I thought he might like this.
Yeah, he's like, do you know what this is? These are Centroides exsilicata, the most deadly scorpion in our country.
Oh my God.
Very specific.
Yeah, he kind of rips Walker's shirt open, or it's already open, exposing his bare chest, which he's looking good for 60.
I knew you were
I'm just going to throw it out there, a little fact checker here. Centroides exsilicata is the Baja bark scorpion, which is relatively harmless, not even closely related to the Arizona bark scorpion, which is the deadliest in our country. A different genus, and even though it is the most deadly, it wouldn't really kill you if it stung you, unless you were really compromised. Anyways.
It sounded good on TV anyway.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But in actuality, what was in the jar were maybe a half dozen emperor scorpions, which are from West Africa and are relatively harmless. And those ones in the jar even had their stinger removed. So extra harmless.
You want to see Chuck Norris get hurt?
No, but I just want to do some fact checking for people.
All right. Well, anyway, so LaRue, he's like, all right, Walker, it's time to die. I'm going to splay these scorpions out on your stomach and let them kill you because, again, when I was in the prison yard, these scorpions are ruthless.
Scorpions also don't pack hunt. Fact checked.
Okay. Well, anyway, so they start crawling over Chuck's chest, and he's like, all right, well, I got to go. And it's like, wait, what's up with this? Like the Batman villain leaving Batman to die, but not watching him die?
Yeah, I'll just assume that you'll be dead.
Yeah, he's like, I'll come back and check on you and watch your last breaths later, but I got to get back to the love of your life, Alex Cahill.
Yeah, let me try to take this horse. Oh, wait, the horse doesn't like me. I guess I'll just leave it here with you.
So LaRue leaves to go back to hang out with Alex. God.
Things escalate pretty quickly. He pulls out a knife and basically threatens her to be interested in him or else he'll just kill her. And just as he's about to make a move on Alex, door blasts open with Chuck Norris full speed diving right at him.
And what happened was apparently he was able to use the trick that he taught the horse earlier in the episode and had the horse untie his rope so that he could escape. That's cool, and he did all that, but he still has that scorpion venom coursing through him, and this is not the Walker Texas Ranger we're used to. He's missing blows, and LaRue is like kind of a he's not a fighter. He's kind of his build. He's like a complete nerd.
He's in Crumple Town. Yeah. I will say most of the time when Walker's fighting, it's classic Walker. But then clearly, I don't know if it was Michael Priest, someone probably motioned at him like, wait. You need to act like you're stunned a little bit. And so occasionally he'll just stand there and shake his head like he's dazed.
Yeah, like, oh man, this scorpion venom. And then he continues to kick ass. LaRue and him are like decking each other down the staircase, like through tables and stuff like that.
Yes, this is an epic fight. LaRue gets a walking stick and tries to swing at Walker, but Walker's not going to let his own items be used against him. So
right. And mind you, this is in Walker's own house.
Oh, yeah.
And then Walker gets LaRue on the couch and starts bashing in LaRue's face, but then the venom kind of kicks in and he can't see again, and LaRue gets the upper hand, and then it's just back and forth. And it's like, man, this scorpion venom, Walker might die.
But it's okay. Walker is able to position the fight directly in front of a large window, which allows him the opportunity to kick LaRue out the window. Classic finishing blow.
And then he went back in to check on Alex finally, who was still tied up. And he at first called in a medevac helicopter because he knew this scorpion venom was really getting him.
Right. It zooms in on the scorpion stings on his chest.
Yeah.
And then he passes out.
And then he wakes up in the hospital, and Alex comes in and visits him, but not like a love interest, more like a colleague, right?
Yeah, their conversation's pretty breezy for two people that almost died, but that's to be expected with Walker.
Yeah.
She's like, boy, if it was another hour, you would have died. You look pretty good for someone who's been stung by a scorpion. And he's like, you look pretty good for
Someone who was almost raped.
He's like, well, I'll stop myself from saying that. You look pretty good too. And then they awkwardly embrace. He kisses her cheek and it freeze frames. Boom.
Oh, wow.
Hashtag friend zone.
Yeah, seriously.
God.
Well, that pretty much sums up this episode. We'd love to give a shout out to our friend and collaborator, Mr. Adam Lauritsen, who's been drawing the amazing Walkerstrations on our social media. Be sure to check out his other art on Instagram at @ImaginationRunAmok. Can't wait to see what this week's one looks like.
I can only imagine.
When we come back, it's going to be time for us to each rate The Return of LaRue on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking, complete results of which available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't go away. Ha 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 ha. Oh, what's that, podcast listener? I've got you tied up and all you can think about is getting back to your stupid little podcast. Well, that just rots me to the core. You covered a podcast when all along it's me, LaRue, who loves you. All those late nights rotting in my cell, wallowing in filth and decay, listening to rodents crawling through the walls, just waiting for this very moment to make you mine. But fear not, for I've crawled back to you, to take from you the podcast you wanted most, and to replace it with the sweet, passionate prose of a more deserving lover. Me. This isn't easy for you, is it? Knowing that the rest of this podcast won't be what you expected. Just the musings of a scorned soul as I tear down everything Roundhouse Roulette ever stood for.
Time to shut it, LaRue.
Ranger Bob?
That's better. Thanks for your patience, listener. Despite what LaRue may have told you, we here at Roundhouse Roulette have pledged to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world. If you'd like to join us in that mission, please share the pod with a friend, or leave us a kind review wherever you get your podcasts. It truly helps other Walkerites find the cast. If you'd like to further support the show, be sure to check out our fine apparel and vintage action figures at roundhouseroulette.com, or join the fun on our Patreon page. Most importantly, though, we thank you for listening. Oh, yeah. Let me get you untied and back to the show.
Welcome back. It's time for us to figure out what we thought about this beast.
LaRue, I think you go first. Good luck with this one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So, yeah, I'm really not a huge fan of, like, you know, the whole rapey thing.
Oh, you're not? Okay. All right.
Well, we settled that.
Okay, as a plot device, not cool. Particularly when I tune in to, like, watch someone just roundhouse kick people. Not really what I was going for. So that instantly docks this a few roundhouse kicks for sure. That said, LaRue is deserving of a returning role, even though we've only seen him once. Yeah, this actor, 100% in on this character. 100% in. Like, I don't know, someone coached him up to this and he was just down for it. Completely ridiculous. I think LaRue maybe almost reaches Max Cale levels of like super creep town. Like,
yeah,
definitely has like his own style. So, you know, that said, fantastic. Also, like, the legend of Chuck Norris grew out of things like this, where Walker, Texas Ranger, gets stung by scorpions and is still able to, like, save the day with the help of his horse that he can communicate with. Like, that's all just totally ridiculous. So, you know, to that extent, I would say, like, if someone wants to know, like, what Walker, Texas Ranger is all about, seeing Walker in action for the period of time that he was in action in this episode, you know, he, like, breaks into the hotel room, he threatens people, he's not shut down by authority. So, like, this is, like, classic Walker, but not a ton of action, only one fight, no explosions, no roundhouse kicks, no vehicle chases.
Right.
So 5, giving it a 5.
Middle of the road.
Yep.
That said, you know, I'm looking forward to the return of LaRue.
You mean the introduction of LaRue?
Spoiler alert, there's a third one with him.
Oh, I am right there with you at 5 because I loved this bad guy. This bad guy was amazing. His acting was amazing. And they let him loose like way more than I thought. Like he kept talking and I just couldn't get enough of it because it was so creepy. And then the few times like when the door swung open and he was just standing there in the corner. Oh, it was so good.
Oh,
it was so good. But there wasn't a lot of action in this. And even when he burnt down his like apartment, it didn't blow up.
Yeah.
It was constructed pretty well. Like the tension was pretty well in this episode, actually, because the bad guy was so good and you didn't know where he was because he could kind of just appear. You were on edge the whole episode. The tension was done really well. Problem was, it wasn't really what you look for in a Walker episode with action. It did deal with rape, which is, it's one of the reasons like I kind of stopped watching Law and Order SVU. I was like, this, why would I choose to watch this all the time? You know what I mean? So I'm right there with you. I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's worth a watch for this guy's performance as the bad guy alone. Who was the actor again?
Wayne Perret.
He's got 2 accents on his last name. That's how you know he's good.
Wayne Perret.
I agree with a lot of the points you guys have made, but not the scoring. He was creepy, but I wasn't as big a fan, I don't think, as you guys, and the whole lull of the episode kind of got to me.
Yeah.
But it did make the end fight that much better. But Walker kind of got his ass kicked. But he was stung by a scorpion.
He was stung by deadly scorpions.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of explains
And the stakes were extremely high because this is the love of his life.
We don't know that yet. At this point in the series, they're like workplace proximity acquaintances. Okay?
You're right. He didn't care about Alex. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, overall, I guess the ending kind of saved it for me, but I'm still not at 5. I'm going to have to pull it down to 4 on this one.
I mean, I think that's fair.
The other thing I forgot to mention that maybe helped bring it down was the constant theme of the justice system doesn't work.
Oh, right. We didn't even touch upon that.
They brought that up 3 or 4 different, and at the end they said it again. It's like, well, maybe someday. It's like, here's the lesson, right? It's like, oh, maybe someday the justice system will side with the victims instead of the offenders.
Right.
You are the justice system. What are you talking about?
Right.
There was really no solution
Walker's like,
proposed.
until then, I guess we'll just have to keep locking them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do? Just keep doing the same thing we've always been doing.
Yeah. It's like, we get no respect. It's like, you get all the respect. The show just glorifies you.
Did you guys notice there was one point when Walker calls the medevac? He goes, "Yeah, this is Walker, Texas Ranger."
Yeah.
But the way he said it was like his full name or something. You know what I mean? This is Walker. Yes. Oh my God, so good.
All right, well, that gives this episode a roundhouse rating of 4.666 boots to the face. And, I think we can all agree that sometimes Rolodex is not so great.
Yeah, especially when people break into your house and are looking for information.
Also, maybe he should have spent a little less time hanging out with the rats in his cell and studying knots. Just throwing it out there.
Walker would have been dead.
But the listeners out there, please let us know what you think on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we'll spin that Roundhouse Roulette wheel and select our next episode. And we're back. Bob, you ready to spin that thing?
You know I am.
Here.
Rodeo.
Season 4 again. Episode 12, Rodeo.
Okay, all right.
All right, same season, only a few episodes prior.
I kind of like the vibe of this. Season 4 is a little slower pace, but it's kind of vintage. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 4 seems pretty good. That said, we just gave this one less than 5, but
Yeah, but it did have the right pacing. The pacing in this episode was good. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It had the right components.
Yeah. Would it kill you to just blow up a car for no reason? Come on. That's all I'm asking.
Right. When 2 witnesses are rubbed out by mob boss Victor DeMarco, Walker and Trevette go undercover to protect the third, Alex's ex-boyfriend, a rodeo rider who refuses protective custody.
Alex's ex. Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be add a little dynamic to it with Walker.
Pretty much
have a little interest,
some tension.
But,
I'll also say this guy came across as like a cerebral bad guy who was like skirting through loopholes and, like actually using detective work to find people and all this stuff. And like Walker didn't even try to best him mentally.
Yeah, no.
There was none of that.
Well, no, because Walker knew the guy was going to commit a crime. He had an intuition about it.
He just threatened him the whole time, and yeah.
And, Walker's not Batman. He's Walker, Texas Ranger. We don't want him to have to go get his magnifying glass out. We want him to take his knuckles out.
Yeah. He's all brawn, no brains.
Yeah. Maybe he'll use his detective skills in rodeo.
Just maybe. And for those of you listening, we hope to join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 4, Episode 12, Rodeo. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and on Twitter at Roundhouse Pod. And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and until next time, on a hot summer night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses?
Yes.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
We miss you, Meat Loaf.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the ranger's gonna be.